You want to?
What's in the box?
Do you want?
What's in the box?
Dun dun dun.
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
We'll clip that.
Welcome to What's in the Box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? We're in a brand new studio. Yeah, we got the studio. We got in a studio thanks to Mad World. So I appreciate that. But yeah, we got in a studio with a producer who's awesome.
Whoop whoop.
Who's great. Whoop whoop. Yeah. So one, I'm going to introduce our new producer who's doing great, and he's going to pop his head in so he's on camera.
What?
I will be doing no such thing.
Yeah, he will.
No.
Well, you'll see him eventually. He'll get more comfortable with everybody.
If you want to see me, you can go over to the Mad World podcast as well.
Yeah, true.
And to see me.
You can go.
There you go.
You can go to the Mad World podcast, and he will be your host of the Mad World podcast. But yeah, super cool dude.
Thanks for having with me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having with me. See, I'm even on like when I'm
See,
off the camera.
even on other people's podcasts.
Other people's podcasts, I got much.
It's okay. Thanks for having with me.
Having with me.
So yeah, so we got that, and also I said this on the other episode that I said, but just a shout out to Brooke in general of like how great and collaborative and not like this is how we're gonna do things, so take it or leave it. Has been really cool. Like I appreciate that. So that's a shout out to you.
Yep.
No, thank you. The space, obviously, the space and everything like that, obviously courtesy of Mad World Artist Collective.
Yeah.
I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to be here, not only as your friend, longtime friend, but as
First time caller.
But as Manus Productions as the producer. So I'm thankful you guys are at least trusting me to give it a go.
Yeah. So anyway, just as a slight thing, this is going to come out after the next episode and after Father's Day. So it probably won't be till the end of the month. But this month is both Men's Mental Health Awareness Month and Pride Month as well.
Pride.
Yeah, so.
And Juneteenth.
And Juneteenth.
Is that...
Yes.
Teeth.
Is June's teeth.
I said it funny.
But so I just wanted to June's teeth.
It's Mama June.
That's awesome. See, you're doing great.
That's
See, this is gonna work out just fine. This is gonna be fine.
We used to match, and then she got her teeth done.
Yeah, and now you're the only.
I know. Now I only have June's teeth.
June's teeth.
I'll get her off the screen so we don't have to look at
So
it.
anyway, so I did want to start with that. I did want to start with I'll separate them, but how do you feel, or what are your opinions on a men's mental health like awareness like month thing?
I think it needs to be more than just a month, but yeah.
How so? How so do you?
Because I don't think people, including men, think about it as much as they should. Like, I think it's not. It's obviously we've gotten a lot more progressive and a lot more people do think about it, but I still think there's still a stigma behind it. I still think there's still like this block that doesn't allow some men to feel like they can be open about what's happening to them or how they're feeling or anything like that.
So do you think that it, because there's a slight connotation to that of like that some women would say of like men have become too soft and there's no real men out there and whatever. Do you think that the ability of awareness for men to talk about their mental health
can
kind
go
of
find the manipulative fucking jerks that
So
want
you
you in
think-
the kitchen all the time.
So you think it's beneficial? You think it's beneficial? You think it's beneficial for men to like actually be able to like come out and be like, "Hey, I'm upset about this," or "This makes me feel this kind of way," or whatever. You don't think it takes away from that? Is what I'm saying.
No, I think that's better for the household in general. I think it's better for a family environment. I think it's better for kids. I I don't think kids watching their dad, whether they're boys or girls, I don't think it's good to watch their dad just struggle all the time and not know what's wrong. Like, men, um, well, I grew up in a household with a man who doesn't know how to feel his own feelings or talk about them. And it's like I didn't even, it still to this day makes me uncomfortable when I see a man cry. Because I've never seen my father cry. And so I'm like, it makes me uncomfortable, and I'm like, that shouldn't be how it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get uncomfortable when girls cry around me. I'm like, oh, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? What's up? Like, and it should be the same for a guy. I should be able to be like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? But instead I'm like, oh my God, what do I do with this thing?
So other than like emotional men being uncomfortable, like in that aspect, does it kind of take away from like the manliness of it, or does that make it more of that for you personally? Because I know that there are women where it does, where
Yeah.
like even a man talking about like, I felt sad today is like, ew, you're not like.
No, for me
Takes away from
personally,
that.
that doesn't take away from that at all. If anything, it does the opposite. I feel like you have become a safe space for me when you're willing to talk about how you're feeling and what's going on with you. Whereas like that, and that's the whole point. Like the whole point of being in a relationship with someone, or man versus woman or whatever, is that you feel safe with that person. If I don't feel safe with you, then what is this? You know what I mean? So like, I think you opening yourself up makes me feel safe to be able to talk about my stuff as well. And I think that's important. So I don't really get, I mean, I don't know. I kind of get it to a point. Like, yeah, it's great to watch a man chop a piece of wood, but like I
While
said to
he's
you,
crying
but like I
about
said
how the
to
fact
you,
that he killed a tree.
but like I said to you before, what do we even need wood chop for anymore? Like why do we need that to be a thing?
Why are we even outside shirtless in short shorts chopping wood for no reason?
Yeah.
But I obviously I would agree with you, but also I feel like there's a caveat to that of like, as far as like men's mental health and whatever, is that I feel like as men we also need to acknowledge that we might need some help in that as well. Because I feel like we've been taught, societal and by our parents who did grow up in a generation of like, men don't talk about their feelings, and it's their job to keep everything going and spinning, and you deal with that with alcohol or until you die. So I think like as men we also need to acknowledge that, like, that it might not be your kids or your wife or whatever's problem, it might be you. Like, there might be something that you need to work on. Like the fact that you go home and you're upset, or you get in a fight with your wife or whatever, might not necessarily be
Yeah.
that. It might be that you have some shit that you
Dealing
need
with.
to work through.
Being personally accountable is the first step to actually recovering from
Yeah.
everything. Is
Yeah.
realizing that you're probably the problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And not like, you're the problem for having a mental health issue. You're the problem, as in you need to figure
You're
out
not
how
taking
to,
care
how,
of
how to
it.
take care
Mhm.
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah, you're not dealing with it. You're just stuffing it in.
Or projecting it on
Yeah.
the people around you.
Yeah. Which we've kind of talked about that before in like other situational conversations where like we've talked about like relationships and fighting and stuff where you fight about the shoe bin, but it's not really about the fucking shoe bin. It's like a compilation of things that have caused
Yeah.
you to break out about the shoe bin. But it's the same as what you're kind of saying is like if you're dealing with something mentally, you're gonna snap on little shit that doesn't really matter. You're gonna
Well, and especially, I mean, speaking as a man, I would say that
As a man.
I think as manly of man as I could be. Anyway, but I think that there's also an aspect which I would attribute to most men, is that when you are struggling with stuff, like when you are overwhelmed by just your life, like bills and trying to keep the household, straight and stuff like that, when that is, because that's a familiar burden for most men, especially like in a marriage or with kids or whatever, I feel like there's a projection that most men don't know that they do, of like they have a thought of like, when I come home, I want the house to be like this. Whether they're saying that or not, there's a thought in their head of like, when I walk through the door, I want my wife to come up and give me a hug and say that she loves me and that she's happy that I'm home. Or I want my kids to come and sit next to me and watch a movie with me or whatever. And when those things don't happen, because we're not expressing that, but we're just, even if we're not conscious of it, that we want that to happen, it immediately feeds either that anger or that depression of like, I'm not validated in these ways.
Yeah, well, you're just stewing. Like, you're just letting things stew without communicating your own, like, your feelings. Like, how are we supposed to know that's what you want if you aren't communicating it?
Mm-hmm. And even to the point of like self-reflection of like, there are some men that don't even know that that's what they want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it might not necessarily be a not communicating necessarily. It might be you yourself, because you haven't really dived into why you're angry every time you come home, or why like you don't feel fulfilled in your own household or whatever. So I think I would implore a lot of men to do that as well, of like, if you are feeling unfulfilled in a way, especially at home, because that should be the one place you feel validated or fulfilled or happy or whatever the case is, that I would say explore that of like, why isn't this the case or whatever. And if it's something you can fix, obviously like fix it.
Yeah.
Like, even some, like we've talked about that in relationships. It may not seem simple, but it could be something as like me feeling like,
But I think the hardest part...
feeling like I'm not heard by you in a relationship may seem like, oh, I can't talk about that, but it might be something as simple as like, hey, I don't feel this way, and you being like, oh, okay, I'll fix that. Like,
I think the problem, though, and I'm not a man, so I can't say for sure, but I think the problem, though, is having to admit it.
I am a
I think
man.
a lot of men don't want to admit that there's something wrong, and they don't want to admit that there's something happening. And I think that plays a huge part in it, is that, just like you said, there's a stigma of like, you don't talk about these things. You don't, if you're the man of the house or you're the strong man, you don't get sad, you don't get depressed, you don't express these things to other people,
You keep it pushing.
specifically, because your job isn't to be sad or be upset or whatever. Your job is to provide and be the safe person, and I think that's a problem, because ultimately you're not being able to fulfill what you consider your role if you can't take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They tell women that all the time, that you have to put yourself before your kids, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your kids. They tell women that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you that right after you have a baby. They check on you. But you never hear anyone saying that to a man ever.
Mm-hmm.
That, you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of your wife and your kids. You got to, and they don't mean like take care of yourself like go golfing every weekend. They mean like take care of yourself, like.
Well, but if you want to go golfing every week.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a man, but I
just
see it.
I know. Me and you obviously have talked about this a lot. Of, it's just one of those stigma things that I feel needs to be broken to the point where it's not even a thing anymore, because it just seems it's silly to me. Like, I understand like our parents' generation, and I've said this before about other things. I understand our parents' generation, they didn't have the tools. They didn't have the mass amount of resources consistently. But like, we know too much. We have the ability too much of too many things for us to still. You could say that about a
lot of things in this generation.
For us to still be like,
information in our hands, and people are still so naive to everything.
For us to still be beating a dead horse with this, a man is to be outside building houses, and that's their only job. I think that's silly to still have that.
Well, if they're Amish, that is their only job.
But they get super cool hats.
They gotta raise the barn.
And little curly doos. Shouldn't talk about them.
Why? The Amish are cool.
The Amish are cool.
I'm down with the Amish.
Could you imagine trying to explain to an Amish person of generations of building their own houses that you can just pay somebody else to do it? Like,
I'm sure they know.
I'm
sure
sure they
explain
know,
to
but I'm
them.
just saying, like, just the laziness of Americans of like, yeah, we just buy them pre-made. Like, we just have other people do it.
I think they'd be more fascinated at the idea of us not knowing like how things are made.
Yeah.
I think they'd be more fascinated at people just eating foods and not knowing like okay, for an
Or
example.
not knowing the difference between different types of nails. Just
Yeah.
being like, they're all nails.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, like an example, like paprika. Like
Yeah.
I had no clue paprika was a pepper.
It's salt and pepper's baby. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how you get
I'm wrong.
paprika.
Yeah, it wasn't until we were working at Psalms that I found out that paprika is a pepper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, that explains that.
Which also, going back to my Blue's Clues reference,
I'm just saying, that's, it's little things like that I think the Amish would look at and be like, how did you not know that? Like, because it's so normal for them.
also going back to my Blue's Clues reference, how did paprika come about? Was she adopted? Because
Probably.
you don't get it from salt and pepper.
They grinded a pepper.
Paternity test. Somebody needs one. I'm just saying. So, switching to off of that, it's also Pride Month. How?
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. How do you feel about
Not
it
my
now?
month.
How do you feel about it now? But definitely, like, how did, like, growing up? Because obviously it's not like a new thing. So, like,
No, Pride
you-
has definitely been a part of my life since I was a little kid. Like, I had no clue
Mm-hmm.
that not everybody had people like that in their lives or knew, like, probably shouldn't name names. I grew up with someone who
canceled. Put the cancel.
was
Canceled.
I grew up with someone who was very like big into like the gay scene when I was a kid, and so like they went clubbing all the time in Green Bay, and we lived in northern Michigan, so they drove all the way to Green Bay almost every weekend to come like party and club, and so we went camping with like lesbian friends and gay friends, and so I mean I grew up around it and in it, so I just didn't think that there was, I don't know, I just thought everybody was it's funny how different the 90s were for other people than it were for me, because for me,
Do you know straight people existed?
no, I knew straight people existed. I just didn't know they cared that people were gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was so naive in that until I moved to Nevada, and then everybody was like, "Oh, that's really gay." Like, and I'm like, "What?" Like, is that?
They would never do that. What are you
Is-
talking about? Those colors don't even match.
I
That's
know
not
them
even gay
very
at all.
well. So, so it's always just been kind of a part of my life, is just the acceptance of it. Like I am not a part of the community myself, other than like an ally, but I've just never seen them as anything other than friends, family, so it's
I kind of said the same thing to you when we kind of half talked about this in the episode before, but I kind of the same thing of like, because like my parents had friends that were like in the community and whatever, and I grew up like going over to people's houses and they would have barbecues and whatever.
Yeah.
I acknowledged that it was a thing, like more so than like you were like, I didn't know people had a problem with this.
yeah.
I knew that part, but it wasn't as prevalent. Like, it wasn't like the like throwing bricks through windows or whatever. I just acknowledged that, like, oh, people don't like these like kind of people, but I was around them so often that I never got it personally. I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I think
like,
that's-
I don't
I think-
understand.
I think that's kind of the problem for us, is that we grew up around it and in it, and like they were, like I said, friends and family and stuff like that. So like when you hear the hate, you don't really understand it even a little bit. It's not like I just don't understand. it's hard for me to understand why someone cares about someone else's sexuality or how they live. Because it's like, what does that have to do with you?
Well,
Like,
also,
what does them being gay have anything to do with you, or them being,
also just the thought and I know that this was like a scare in like the 90s and what they would use against like gay people specifically, of like that gay people just go up to straight people and are like, we're gonna fuck now, and you have no like way of getting out of that.
or like, boop,
Like,
I touched you, you're gay.
Yeah. But like, and that was used as like obviously like predominantly like in the male gay space as like a scare tactic or whatever. But just like as you get older, you start to realize how ridiculous that is. Like I'm gonna say any straight man that has a problem with gay people, how many times has a gay man came up to you and been like, we're gonna fuck now? How many times has that happened in your life? 0. None.
Well,
I've had more straight men come up to me and say we're gonna.
I
fuck
Yeah.
than I have
agree.
gay men.
But that's what
me too, Brooke.
But that's but that always but that
I wish
also,
the gay men would say it more.
same. but like I even in that, like I never understood that either, because like there are straight men that, and I don't have a lot of them in my life because I don't allow people that like that in my life. But like I've been around it obviously, but there's straight men that will play like that with other straight men.
Yeah.
Like to the point of like grabbing naked balls, like, and like be like, ha ha ha, got your balls.
Yeah.
But like the moment that a gay man even relatively is in their vicinity, they're like, ew, no, get away. And I just never understood that. I'm like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't know.
Or like why it's so, and to your point of like not understanding why it matters, I never understood, and we've talked about this, I never understood what me sexuality wise doing with anybody else
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
has
understand
anything, like,
what I do behind closed doors. I don't think that's anyone's fucking business. And if I'm holding someone's hand down the street, how is that bothering you? How is that a problem for you? Like even if two guys were kissing on the street, I don't see how that's I mean, grown men kiss fucking 16-year-olds all the time and no one fucking says shit about that. But two dudes kiss each other and the world's going to end.
yeah.
Like, okay.
But also, like we said before and said in the last thing of like, I think a lot of that comes to parenting and how you treat a situation as well.
Yeah.
Because like the fact that you should, in my opinion, if you're going to have problems with like PDA or whatever, then it should be across the board.
Yeah, it should be everyone.
You should feel the same disdain as a straight couple making out in the park as you do
as two
as
guys
gay.
or two girls
Yeah.
or whatever.
And if you don't, then that comes down to how that was represented to you.
Yeah.
Or how you're representing it to yourself.
yeah.
Because, like, I don't think, and I know this is a very small example, and not to say that, like, this is the same, because it's not. But, like, even the same representation of how you, like, explain things to your kids. Like, Wyatt wanted to paint his nails for the first day of school.
Yeah.
And I've said this story before, but, like, and he was super excited about it. And one of the girls said, boys don't wear, he was showing people, and one of the girls was like, boys don't wear nail polish. And luckily, because we have raised him in a way, he wasn't upset about it. He wasn't sad. He didn't come home and he's like, boys don't do this. He just went, well, I think they're pretty, and walked away or whatever. But that, but that representation of like, that little kid isn't mean.
Someone taught her that.
She was just taught that that's a thing.
Yeah.
In the same way as Wyatt was taught, like, this doesn't matter, sort of
Well,
thing.
we've talked about that before. Like children act how they are. Children act and say things that they're representing from their house or from things that they learned from people around them. And so it's hard to hear those things from little kids, but you have an understanding of that's not how that little kid feels. That's someone in their life feels that way.
Influence, yeah.
Has influenced that child.
So I'm curious, when do you think that cutoff is? When do you think it goes from being the responsibility of the parent and what the child is surrounded by versus when that child maybe could have started to learn better, but just stuck with it? I know that's
I think
maybe an odd
that's-
question, but I
no,
feel like
no,
there's
no.
a gray area at some point. And
Yeah.
then when is it like, oh, like is it 18? Is it like, hey, you're an adult now, figure out that
And
maybe
I think,
this isn't okay?
and I think that is a hard question, and I think it depends on the maturity of the kid itself. Because, I mean, if you can look at my daughter and be like, oh wow, she has a mind of her own, because she does. Like she, and she's only 16, but I've met plenty of 25-year-olds that still don't have a mind of their own. They're still representing what they see in what they saw in their household, and they're just starting to think for themselves. They're just starting to turn things around. And I think as long as you're always growing and always willing to grow, I think that's the difference.
I think that there's some sort of grace there if you are too.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think
if you still
I
have
think early 20s should be pretty. I think 20s in general should be pretty graced.
yeah
I think
for
I
all
think-
for all
I think a lot
actions.
of people in their 20s make a lot of mistakes that do not represent who they are as a person. And I know society doesn't feel the same about that, but I think saying that a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old is adult is a lot.
Yeah,
especially
especially depending on, and I know I'm going to kind of blanket this, but depending on what your upbringing is too. Like even if you think like somebody that lives in a small town with the same, like, I don't know, 100, 200 people all the time until they're 18, their worldview is going to be completely different than somebody that grew up in the city around, you know what I mean?
Well,
so I think expecting those two people at the same age to have the same way of thinking, or the same, like, anyway, I think like expecting
I know, right?
expecting just because they're 18 for them to have the same thought process and the same way of move through life is
Yeah. Well, and I see it like at work and stuff like that. I see, the younger people have opinions that I'm like, oh boy. Oh boy.
yeah.
And like I said, I think it depends on your maturity level at whatever age you're at. I think if you're coming off a lot more mature, but you still have these like kind of bigot thought processes, it's like, okay, so this is just who you are then. And I really don't feel like there's room to grow at that point. But if you're still showing like a lot of immaturity, I usually brush that off, and I'm just like, okay, well, they'll grow up eventually.
Yeah. Or just like,
All
okay,
right.
well, I just don't need them around me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that there is something to say of just letting something, like, obviously, if it goes past a certain point, then yes, like, you should speak up and you should
I was gonna say,
say
I
something,
don't
but I
think
feel
saying
like
they
the-
don't need them around me is not necessarily good. I think if you feel like they have room to grow and they're open to it, they just don't know what they're doing yet, I don't think pushing them away is the answer. I think that's gonna push them further into
No, I was
these
saying
hurtful thought patterns than it would be to embrace them and be like, hey,
No, I'm
there
just
are
saying,
other
like,
ways
if
of
they're
living, but not push it. Just be like, show them.
I'm just saying,
gently
like, if
over
they're
time.
not like, if they're not like growing or getting better or
Yeah.
anything, like,
Well, yeah.
there's something to be said of just letting that go instead of like arguing with them all the time or like doing like all of this. I think there is something to be said of like, okay, that's just how you're gonna be, and we just don't.
Yeah, I don't quite understand
this.
that. I've met people who are not racist who have racist friends, and I'm like, okay, but
Yeah.
how much of you is not racist then? And I've met people that embrace like Pride Month, embrace pride, embrace that, but then they have friends that are very like anti, and I'm like, what kind of conversations can you possibly have? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we talk about pride all the time, but like, I imagine that gets difficult times.
But it does have to get brought up at some point.
Is this? Well, I was going to say, how far in do we go on the idea of guilty by association?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
yeah, well, I guess that depends on how far that person stands on one side or another, or how often it comes up in conversation. Because I mean,
Do you not think that it's either possible or okay for maybe someone to genuinely just like have a neutral ground in their head? Like, this person is probably a decent person. Their mind not like, obviously ideals might either track perfectly with what a good person would be or not.
yeah.
I guess I have questions on where that line is on I can be friends with a human versus I can have issues with their ideologies.
I guess my only thing about that is, like I said, it depends on how often it comes up in conversation. How many times do you guys argue about it? Or are you not arguing about it? When they talk about it and you don't agree, do you just let it go? How often?
I feel like, to me, in my head, the correlation I make with that is like, that's like saying a Christian and a Muslim couldn't be friends because every time the Muslim would go to say something about their religion, you as a Christian would have to be like, no, that's not correct. You're incorrect about that. So like, where like.
Well, I would say it kind of goes. I'll even use that example. I would say it kind of goes with how is that relationship? Because even that relationship, using that example, yes, you're going to like represent your side. But if I can have a healthy conversation with you, if I can have even a discussion or whatever you want to call it with you, and we can still be like, okay, you believe this, I believe this, and
well, I
still
guess
be
that's
fine.
what I meant by how much does it come
fine.
up as an argument? Like, is it an argument or is it a healthy discussion? Like, is the person standing firm on their side? Are you standing firm on your side? Or are you guys willing to compromise the conversation?
Yeah, or like even...
And like, I guess... I don't know, because I guess there are, like, well,
Because I would even say that, like, even, like, we'll use the pride thing of, like, even if it's just, like, an understanding of, like, I personally don't, because I don't keep a lot of, not that I keep a lot of people that have the same thought process as me, but, like, there are certain lines that I have that I'm like, I just don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
No matter what you mean by that, I just don't need it. But, like, there is something to be said about, like, you can be like, hey, I just don't agree with that. And, like, you're fine, I'm fine, but can we just, like, just not talk about that?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what I kind of meant, is like, how often is it coming up in conversation? How often are you guys arguing about it? Like, because then at that point, how are you guys having a healthy relationship or friendship?
I think I think another thing that might need to be brought up in this conversation is, like, not all guys tell their guy friends everything. There's this idea that every guy relationship is it's polar opposite when you talk
like
to
a girl's relationship.
Because like some people will see men's relationships as like, oh, brother, and like it's so close and it's so intimate, or they'll see it as like, oh, guys don't talk to each other, you know, they don't ask how they're feeling, yada yada yada. But it's what's irritating is it's simply just neither of those two. It's this middle ground. I know my friends well enough not to talk about certain things because it'll either trigger what I believe to be probably not a morally correct side of them.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's at the end of the day for me to decide.
Honestly, I think. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
But then on the flip side, like, you do it with positive stuff too. Like if you have a friend who's really into something and you just don't want to hear about it, you'll probably stay away from that topic.
Yeah.
Like there's this massive gray area that gets ignored when it comes to this topic, and it's like, I didn't know my friend, you know, had like a dark side of treating women terribly.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was like this closeted racist that like had a swastika carved into his mattress or something.
Well,
Or his forehead.
and I'm not trying to dog on anyone who has friends like that.
I don't think you are, but that's often part of the conversation that gets ignored. Is like not everyone's open with everyone.
Really knows that deeply.
Yeah.
And people who know they have some like a wrong opinion are gonna keep it.
Oh yeah, for
until
sure.
they meet
Especially if they
someone
know
that
it's
they could feel
bad.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like where I'm sitting too, is like, obviously, like, guilty by association if it has come up in conversation. Like if you have heard something, or if you know what I mean. I think that's the point. And if the person, if what is happening is something that is hurting another person, I think that's important to stand on your beliefs. You know what I mean? Especially if it's harming another human being. If it's not harming another human being, I think there is some gray area to that of like, well, we can work around this, whatever. And if you don't know, you don't know. It's not like you can know, even in female relationships, we don't know everything about each other. Like, I know it seems like we do because we do talk a lot. But,
More so.
I have plenty of, I have, my best friend is very Republican, and we just don't talk about politics because we don't stand on the same, we don't, I'm very anti-party and she's very Republican. So it's like, we definitely don't stand on the same thing. So when it comes to like the political side of things, we just don't talk about it, and we never have. And it doesn't mean we don't have conversations. We don't still have good, riveting conversations. We just know that that's not. But it also, her political party isn't, her choice to be a part of that political party isn't hurting anyone per se. I mean, you can argue that to a degree of like, well, that political party is hurting a group of people.
But the relationship that the two of you have isn't hurting anybody.
And she's not
because of
directly
that.
hurting anyone.
Yeah. So what would you say about representation as far as like the gay community and Pride and whatever? Would you think that is not warranted isn't the word, but do you think that that's necessary, or do you think that it should just kind of be like,
I think
well, that's you and you can do that, but you don't need to put it in my face, so to speak.
I think when Pride Month first started, I think it was very necessary. I think it was needed. I think the world needed to know that they're here and they're not going anywhere. And I would say not the last 5 years, but maybe the 5 years before that, it was kind of like a little bit more peaceful than it's ever been at any
Just
point.
understood. I agree with that.
But I think in the last like couple years, I think it's very needed again.
Came back.
I think
again.
it's like it's like a cycle almost of like, I feel like in the last couple years, they need to be represented again. They need to be put out there again, because I feel like there's a group of people that seem to think that they can put their hand on it and snuff it out.
I think that there's, and me and you have talked about this. My overall thought process of representation, as far as that goes, in Pride Month and the parades and everything, is that I feel like representation is important. And although some could say that, well, the gay community has had representation for however long, so they don't really need it anymore.
Yeah, but how much is it really allowed?
Well, that's what I was saying. There's still stigmas. There's still home life. There's still things that a person that, even if they're not out yet, still feels those things that make it scary to be that. Like there's a lot more acceptance of like, oh, these things happen, or like when your kid comes out as gay or whatever, that like it's not as like, we're gonna murder you or you're not my kid anymore. But there still is aspects, and especially areas of that, where it is still a thing.
I think, okay, so I'm going to use two examples to kind of explain what I'm trying to say here. I think the way I feel about Pride in the community right now, I feel like it's not always as blatant right now that they're being snuffed. I think it's kind of like the whole Super Bowl situation, where it's like the two halftime shows. So instead of just having the one halftime show and everybody just getting fucking over it, they had to have two of them, and they couldn't do it at separate times or on a different day. They had to do it at the same time, so people had to choose a path. And I feel like this. So the second example I have of that is Appleton had their Pride
Yep.
celebration yesterday. At the same exact day, same time, around the same area, they had a American birthday parade.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, typically you wouldn't think, yeah, like everyone should be celebrating America's birthday. But you know the type of people that are going to be at the
Yeah.
birthday celebration versus the type of people that are going to be at Pride. And it felt very like, well, we're going to make this American celebration birthday thing at the same time as Pride, so people have to pick their paths.
And please understand, this is, I don't necessarily hail from the LGBTQ community. I believe I am an ally. I hope so.
I believe.
This is just a curiosity. I'm not judging
No,
what was
you're
said
right.
or anything. Are you sure that it's maybe not just a coincidence? Like, I could understand where, like,
I think my problem-
that super quick judgment is like, you know what, that's kind of shitty that they did that.
Yeah, I
But
think
then also, couldn't it have been viewed as, like, maybe America is really proud to also be gay now?
I mean, that would
Like,
be
let's
great.
have both celebrations together. You know?
That would be
That's
great,
fair.
but it felt very divided. Because I was cleaning the bank that day, so I was down there, and it did feel very divided. It felt like there was nothing about Pride in the parade, and there was nothing about America in Pride.
Okay, just curious.
So you know
Just
what I
curious.
mean? Like, and I'm not stating that that's exactly what they were doing. I'm just saying it's the subtle things that they've been doing lately that it feels like it's a snuff. It feels like it's like you have to make your choice. You have to choose. Are you at America's birthday or are you gay? Like, it's like, oh, okay.
I think it would
Both,
be.
motherfucker.
Yeah,
I think it would be
I'm gay and America's birthday.
I think it would be. I think it would be great if that were to happen. I think that would, if it was sincere, I think that would be a big. I would venture to say bigger than a lot of moments in American history. But I think if that were able to be a sincere thing that would happen, I think that would be crucial and very beneficial.
And honestly, my first thought about it wasn't even about whether it was a divide or not. My first thought, and I hope this is more so it than anything else. My first thought about it was that
They're just lazy.
that Appleton didn't want to have to shut down the road 2 different days for 2 different things. You know what I mean? Like, so like mentally, like when I first got to the bank and all this was happening, I was like, oh, they just didn't want to shut down the road more than once. And I'd hope that that's actually the case. I'm just saying it feels like a Super Bowl situation. It feels like, oh, you can watch this one or you can watch this one. And it's like, well, I like Kid Rock. I mean, I don't really like Kid Rock himself anymore, but you know what I mean? But like
There was an era.
there was a time. You know?
You said your friend was Republican. You sure you're not?
Oh, I definitely
I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of Kid
See,
Rock
this is-
friendly.
This is why I'm anti-party, because I definitely do align with beliefs, but I also align with beliefs on the other side, and I align with no beliefs on some things. So, that's why I usually stick with the anti-party. It's not a cop out. It's just I don't align with enough of anything on either side to be able to say that I'm either side.
So I'm gonna say. Did you want to say something or no? Okay. So I was going to say for both of those, I think that there's for men's mental health and pride, I would say for both of those, I think that representation is good, but also as far as like the people that have a problem with it as a whole, or like don't want to see it, or like why does it have to be a whole month or whatever your thing is.
I mean, I think it charges anger in
I
some
think-
people.
But I think I don't think it needs to be like hard push. Like I don't think every single business needs to change their thing and like do all of that.
I think the reason
I
they
think
do
the
that is to say they stand.
But I
I think
think-
a lot of businesses do it for money, to be honest. I think it's because during that month, if they say they stand with Pride for that 1 month, one, they don't look bad because they're doing it during the 1 month they have to, and two, they're bringing in customers of.
No, I get that, but I'm saying like I think that there's a thing of like when people use that as like their anger tool of like it doesn't need to be a whole month, or it doesn't need to be this or whatever. I think that there is an aspect of like representation of like, it's nice to see that that's out there, that there are people supporting it, that you do have an outlet as a part of that community, as like, oh, I'm able to do this. But the same as mental health, I think representation of like a guy seeing like that's available and like that's a thing that we can talk about and whatever is good. But as far as people being angry about it, I would say to that, I would be like, then it doesn't affect you. Like, it doesn't need to be a thing you go after, is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Can I just make like a really weird like point?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think weird, and it's not necessarily weird because it's on point with both. I think the birdcage is a perfect representation of both men's mental health and
Yes.
I agree.
Yes,
100%.
Pride.
100%.
I think that movie tracks with both.
Oh yeah,
heartedly.
for sure.
So I was sitting here, I was like, man, like good representation, and obviously my brain went to movies.
Yeah.
I was like, how are people represented? And then I was like, oh, you know what?
I think
Yeah.
okay. I will definitely
agree with
speak
that.
on that. I would say the birdcage is probably the perfect, as close as you're going to get to all forms of that. Like you have all representations of like what it is to be like a gay person, and also like what the outside people think, the mental dynamic of like asking somebody to be who they're not, or like things like that. I would agree that I think the birdcage objectively is the perfect representation of everything that goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot in that movie that
Even
represents-
relationship dynamics.
Well, yeah,
of, like,
it
how he
represents a
deals
lot
with-
of what that community deals with in general, with
Mm-hmm.
his son and his ex-wife, and
Who did I raise?
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that was a really good connection.
Good job, Brooke.
Woo!
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking. I'm gonna give you your lead in.
Lead in?
Yeah, to this. So your brain is filled with tunes and commercials. What is like a big like from your childhood that like that sticks out of like something like whether it be a commercial or like an ad or whatever that like you just can't, it's stuck in there and you just can't get rid of it, like from you growing up?
J.G. Wentworth. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby.
You know what? You know what's one, and me and you have talked about this. You know what's it is? You know what's one that I think is really funny that we kind of that one. Okay,
Oh
so
my
gosh, hold on. I'm gonna do this.
I totally
So,
forgot about that one.
Are they gonna be able to see what you have
Budweiser's
on here?
frogs.
You're recording this right now? Okay, so this right here, the Budweiser commercial, my dad had this as his screensaver on his
course he did.
computer forever.
That's so funny.
And it was so funny because I never knew it was a commercial. And so I just thought it was a screensaver. And so I was looking it up one day because I wanted it on my computer when I got an adult.
Mentos fresher.
Anyway,
Fresh and
the one
full of
that
life.
the one that comes to me is the Timmy the Tooth commercial on the VHS.
Oh.
Do you remember? I know what yours is though.
Oh, you're
The-
talking. Yeah, mine was the.
Dr. Looney's Remedy.
Oh yeah.
That
Gosh,
that one.
I forgot
Yeah.
about him.
Timmy
I used
the
to rent
Tooth.
his movies all the time.
Yeah, it was on the VHS.
What is that weird guy in the back? I never understood who he was supposed to represent
I don't know.
as a kid.
A thing of toothpaste? I
Maybe
don't know.
he's plaque.
It's black.
I have
But
a
yeah,
lot of
but
him.
I remember that, and I remember the Dr. Looney one too, because me and you have talked about that many times. Because it was on the VHS for Rugrats.
She laughs. She cries. Oh.
What's even funnier about being married to you is that you'll randomly play those songs, like just random, just because
Oh,
it's
I
fun.
love Dr. Looney's.
And so like there'll be times where like I'll come in, like you'll be doing dishes or like I'll be sleeping and come
I do-
Ricola,
Oh my god,
and,
yeah.
and you like all of a sudden you'll play that,
Cha-cha-cha-cha.
and it's just really funny. Anyway, but there's no other like
Oh my god, Miss Cleo.
Mrs. Cleo. There's no other.
Those commercials that would come on super loud in the middle of the night. you'd pass out with the TV like going, and you'd wake up to like, just for $9.99 you can listen to all the greatest love hits.
Oh,
like,
mine was
shit.
mine was the country
Yeah,
country
all of
collection,
them.
the
Yeah.
old country collection. Anyway, so do you want to get into our game? We got a game.
Woo woo.
I'm sorry, I would have chimed in a lot faster if I knew we were doing it again. My bad.
That's okay. We have a game. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna do a bracket game with bands, with rock bands.
A rock bracket. A rocket.
A rocket.
A racket.
rocket.
Yeah, Brooke. What's it?
It's a rocket.
A
A rocket.
rocket.
A rock bracket. A rocket.
Whoop, whoop.
Anyway,
Way to go on Brooke.
so I told Brooke that we'll go through them, and then like if we have anything to say about it, like stories or whatever, we'll say that, and then we'll pick
I had the burps.
if we can't agree on one, or we'll do two separate ones.
I'm basically just gonna start at the top, and then we'll just go till we're done.
All right.
Yeah. The numbers don't necessarily mean anything. I just kind of punched them all in the order that we received the bands. Random. So I promise I do not think Breaking Benjamin is number 1 on this list.
Wait,
They're not
so
bad.
what was number 2? Mötley Crüe?
So number 2 would be Mötley Crüe. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's just what they got randomized to.
I'm just kind of curious on how the list was before.
It was how it
I
went
can
through
bring I can bring that up later.
It
but-
was how it went through my head, which I think would surprise
I know,
you
that's
even
why
more.
I figured that was the case. That's kind of why I was
But-
kind of overlooking it.
first matchup here. We have Breaking Benjamin and Puddle of Mud.
Breaking Benjamin.
I would say out of the two of those, Breaking Benjamin too. However, Puddle of Mud is very.
They just have Psycho.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And that's what I was gonna say. So I have a story about Puddle of Mud, which I'll say really quickly. But I had a social worker when I was younger, and she would take us to like go to the Y or whatever, like every weekend. And she had this huge like back CD holders. She had this big book like CD holder, and there were only looking back, she had a lot of good music in there, but I didn't know that. But there were 2 CDs that she had in there that I would play all the time, and it was Coming Clean by Puddle of Mud and Hybrid Theory. And then she had 30 Seconds to Mars, which I didn't even, looking back on it, I was like, that was really cool. Didn't even recognize it until much later after like she was out of our lives and whatever. Because I remember it, because I ended up seeing it, like the CD, and I'm like, oh, that was that. But yeah, so like, and it was, because we lived in Seymour, it was 30 minutes to anywhere, because we were in the center. So
I'll be honest.
So that's what I would listen to.
I'll be honest. I
Is
may
that-
have picked Muddle of Pud.
Muddle of Pud. Muddle of Pud.
Puddle of Mud before we were together,
Yeah.
but
Why? What?
I don't, because
Before
I
we
really
were
like the
together?
song Psycho.
Okay.
But I kind of hold a special place for Breaking Benjamin now. I always
agree.
kind of have, but now
I
it's
agree.
even more
Yeah.
because I almost touched him.
There's a story about that, which we'll say, because it's going forward, so we'll say that for the next one. But yeah, Breaking
But
Benjamin.
yeah, I would say Breaking Benjamin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think that their MRI album cover is super cool.
I agree.
So I think that wins alone.
Winner.
I'm gonna go with Breaking Benjamin only because of the story.
9 Inch Nails
That one's easy too.
and Nickelback.
I want to hear yours first. Oh, you're gonna disappoint me. You're gonna make me so sad.
It's
I'm gonna cry.
I would say okay, fine. I'll use your same thing
I was about to hit you with the Emperor Palpatine.
that you just.
Do it.
I would say before
I don't
you.
even know who you are.
I would say you killed younglings. I would say before you, I wouldn't pick 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Although Pretty Hate Machine is still, we've talked about it.
Okay,
still
but to be
one of
fair,
my
it's
favorite.
their only good album.
Well, but I think.
They have good songs on other albums, but that's their only good, like, through and through album.
But I think if you go by not yours specifically, but everybody's, Nickelback raised our whole generation.
They did.
Like they had bangers after banger every year.
Honestly, if it was Nickelback
Do you-
compared to someone else, I may have given it to Nickelback. But it's against Nine Inch Nails.
Do
and
you
I cannot
do you
give
know
it.
as a young boy watching the original Spider-Man when Hero came on, how pumped that song made you? Do you realize that?
I still sing that song.
Do you
That
realize-
song, that song is a lot better when you have Spider-Man context. If you just hearing it on the radio,
Oh, yeah.
it's not one I'm necessarily turning up.
No, for
Well,
sure.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
You
But
need
like,
Spider-Man swinging
but
to
like,
make
do
that
you
song as powerful.
do you
as it is.
understand that being at the end of
Nickelback's-
Spider-Man, how much you left that theater being like, I could stop a bus too.
Nickelback has 3 categories that are 3 totally different bands.
Yeah, which you make fun of me for
Yeah,
all the
they
time.
have the slow songs, they have the fast songs, and then they have the sex songs. That's it. And it's 3 totally different people singing.
All right, so Nine Inch Nails or Nickelback?
Nine Inch Nails for sure.
Yeah, I'll go
100%.
I'll go 9 Inch Nails.
All right, Nine Inch Nails. Beep, beep,
Just
beep.
for
Yeah.
the sake of agreement.
All right.
Also,
Stone Sour.
metaphors
Sound
alone.
Garden.
This one. This is the other one.
well,
That's hard.
This
It's
is
not hard for you.
it is kind of because out of Corey Taylor's different versions, this is probably one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But Soundgarden has been there by me through it all.
Well, also
I think Soundgarden's a lot more. It's more timeless
Yeah.
than Stone Sour is.
well,
Also, I am a grunge girl through and through.
well, also
and
if you're gonna go,
it doesn't get much grunge
yeah, then
that's still
Soundgarden-
alive. Well, they're not still alive.
then
I'm lying.
Soundgarden. Well, Chris Cornell was before Nirvana.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole story about Chris Cornell, like
Yeah.
sitting down with Kurt Cobain before he even started Nirvana, and he was already like doing it. If you're gonna go personally for me, I just for the sake of having Soundgarden in it, I would agree with you for Soundgarden to like go forward. But personally for me, that's really hard because these are 2 of my favorite voices of all time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are the best voices.
Like I have gone on record for years saying that Chris Cornell is one of the best fucking vocalists of all time.
100%.
But also, like Corey Taylor, I would put up there.
You just
For me
like his
pers-
neck.
For me personally, no, just in general, I think that his ability to go between, like your hang up with Fred Durst, the fact that he has a really nice voice but just does Fred Durst all the time. That's my argument for Corey Taylor, is that he does do it. He doesn't just do.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
He uses all aspects of his voice, and it's great no matter what version of it he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also we have a story about Stone Sour. But what?
Do you want to tell the story quick?
Yeah, it's just I've always said, because my wife is awesome, I've always talked about Corey Taylor and Slipknot and whatever and my wife took me to Stone Sour.
Yeah. It
And-
was one of your first Christmas presents.
Yeah, and we went to Stone Sour in Milwaukee. We got a hotel room. We ended up going to this Irish bar after the show.
I was
You
sick
got-
as a dog that day.
Yeah, she was super sick. You got martinis because you
did.
thought they were cute,
Yeah, not because I wanted to drink.
and you got drunk off of those, and then
Well,
you.
I was
and-
also on. To be fair,
You were
I was
also on drugs
also
because
on
you were
cold
sick.
medication. I've been chugging cold medication through the whole fucking concert.
So she could make it through the concert, and then she got drunk on top of that,
Yeah.
and then we ended up going back
I
to the
fell
hotel
asleep
room,
in the hot
and you
tub.
fell asleep in the hot tub in
Yeah.
the room. So yeah, that's my story because that was funny.
3 Days Grace, Papa Roach.
This one is a pain for me. This one hurts me.
Really, because this one's easier for me.
Okay, go ahead.
I would say 3 Days Grace for sure.
Ouch.
I like Papa Roach, and I have a lot of memories like personally for Papa Roach. But I would say in general for everything, better songs, better appeal. Like for Me and You, there's context in that too.
I mean, 3 Days Grace did influence a lot of my art.
Mm-hmm.
A
For
lot
sure.
of it. I just, I have a thing for Jacoby, though.
Yeah, I know.
I think if it was Jacoby versus 3 Days Grace, it'd be different.
I think there's a time frame in my life where I would say it might have leaned more towards Papa Roach, but I think that like I said, if I'm using like all around context,
Yeah, I agree.
like definitely I think the collection from Papa Roach or the Paramore sessions, both of those are probably like best rock albums, at least top 20 in my opinion, for sure. But if I'm going the whole thing, I'd say 3 Days Grace hands down for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I was
3 days.
yeah, 3 Days
3 days.
Grace.
Sorry, Papa.
I
I still love you,
Future is now
Jacoby.
old, man.
still love you, Jacoby.
Live in Lincoln Park.
Live,
For you,
live.
I
I have trauma with Linkin Park.
I know.
So.
I know, which is really sad because like I would say the opposite. I would say Linkin Park one influential for our whole generation, but also it's the CD I bought the most. Hybrid
It's the
Theory.
CD
I
everyone
would,
bought the most.
I would say Hybrid. Sam Goody. You could buy it for you. Yeah.
I'll give you Linkin Park because I'll be honest, there's only like one good live album, and there's like
And also, I feel like the only reason why that
multiple good
wouldn't,
Linkin Park
I
albums.
feel like that the only reason why that wouldn't be your pick is because of the trauma you have with Linkin Park. I think
Probably.
if that wouldn't have happened, that still would have been your pick.
Maybe.
The most unbalanced battle of them all.
Yeah, Slipknot.
Slipknot versus Creed.
Slipknot has won this.
This was the only one I couldn't fix. Like Creed was definitely the outside man here on this
Yeah.
whole list, and I was kind of I almost wanted to switch it on you, but you had sent it to me, and I was like, you know what, we'll figure it out, man.
We'll throw it in there somewhere.
You know what would have been know what would have been a harder battle for us? You know what would have been a fight? Is Slipknot and Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, that's true. That would have
been a fucking fight.
that would have been we would have just agreed to disagree, or you would have had to like just
Yeah.
randomly picked one.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I tried to avoid the most.
I will. So agree for Slipknot, but I will throw out there. I feel like, and I've said this.
I feel like
for
people
Nickelback.
give Creed a lot more hate.
That's what I was
Then
gonna say
they
for Nickelback. I feel
should.
like people hate on Nickelback and Creed so much, yet can't help
But sing their song.
but sing Creed.
You,
Even
a
if you're
Creed
doing
song
it in your
comes
head,
on,
even if
you
you're
have
doing
to
it in your
sing
head.
it.
I'd also like to point out I've heard a lot of Creed's and Nickelback's discography. Creed goes a lot harder.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
than
sure.
people give them credit for. Sadly, it's just the really hard stuff isn't on like the renowned.
It doesn't.
albums.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
get.
So it's like, because first looking at this, I was like, you know what? I think Nickelback might be, a little more with everyone else than everything. And I was like, you know what? No, you've listened to Creed before. You know, there's some good stuff out there. So this was one that I had a hard time placing. And at a certain point, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll see how conversation takes
We'll
us.
throw
My
it in.
thing though
I
is like
figured Slipknot, no matter who they paired up with,
Yeah.
though, knowing both of you,
Well-
Slipknot was probably going to win whatever matchup.
Slipknot, just
Cheryl
lyrically.
doesn't like
Slipknot's my
Slipknot.
favorite to win
What are you
this one.
talking about?
Cheryl
Slip-
hates
Slipknot
Dead
was-
Memories.
Oh
Slipknot
God, I
was
can't stand Dead Memories.
dead ass. Like my out of all these, like Slipknot's gonna win. Like that's the only one on here that I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
50% chance of winning.
But that being said, like I said, I would say that people need to stop hating on Creed, because Creed also, in especially our generation, like that was they only had
Even if
one,
you're not
they had
singing
one
the song, you
album
know
that
the words.
keeps getting. They had one album that keeps getting replayed for a decade now.
Yeah,
Two.
but nothing beats "I Put My Fingers Into My Eyes."
Yeah. Well, that's
If
personal for you.
If that's your thing, yeah.
Well, that's personal. If that's your thing, if you're into that,
That is
sort
my
of thing,
thing.
whatever.
You know, it's the only thing that slowly stops the ache.
so the announcement ultimately is, hey, don't hate on Creed, but also we're gonna hate on Creed.
Yes,
Yeah.
Love you, Creed.
love you, but not enough.
Also a side thing to that. I'm gonna just do a side thing to that. He did an interview which I thought was really funny about the fact that his band members got so mad at him for people being like they're a Christian band or whatever, because they didn't sign on to be a Christian band.
There's definitely
Scott Stapp
influences.
just wrote songs that were like leaned that way, and then when they got so much shit when it came out that he like cheated on his whatever, they got so pissed that they got the backlash, because they're like, none
Labeled ourselves.
of us are Christian, and we didn't get into this like to be a Christian band.
yeah.
I just thought that was funny that they were like pissed and like
Godsmack and Bush.
this we can go back and forth about this, but I feel like this is going to be the only.
Bush wins.
This is going to be the only stalemate. I'm not gonna pick Bush
Gavin's
over.
a god.
I'm not gonna pick Bush over Godsmack.
And I'll just make this quick. I'm not going to agree with you on Bush either. So
What the hell?
It will be
I
going
got
to
Godsmack.
Okay.
Woo!
I just have to say, because since you guys are pushing me out of this, that's fine.
Woo!
But Gavin, what is he, like fucking
Yeah, that's
60,
true.
70?
Yeah.
He looks amazing. He sounds incredible still. I mean, dude just is...
It's because
I mean, it's like he sold his soul. Like, he doesn't
he
get
did. Haven't
old.
you seen Constantine?
Like, he's so good. And we've seen him... We've seen Bush 3 times.
Yeah.
And every time we see Bush, he puts on a fucking show.
I will say that.
He is active.
Yeah.
He's all over the stage. He gets in the crowd. He walks through. We were at Milwaukee at the rave. He was crawling along the fucking banister.
Yeah. The little
Dude is a god.
the little things. Yeah.
Yeah, but did he make voodoo?
He could have. He was just with the wrong band.
He was just the wrong band.
But did he make voodoo? Is that all you know?
That's all.
Just
First of all,
kidding.
that was all I would need to know.
I would.
If anything, I think they're what's that song that they made? Horsepower. I think that one's way better.
1,000 horsepower.
I think that one's way better than voodoo.
that was the one. So
I could be wrong. It's okay.
You're also a Bush fan, so I don't know.
so there's. So I'm gonna go
I
back.
think you
I'm
need to
just
give
kidding.
him a shot.
I don't know Bush.
You know
enough.
what? Next time we go to Bush, we're gonna take you to a concert. You're gonna know
Yeah,
Bush
for
all of
sure.
a sudden.
You're gonna know Bush.
You're gonna be like,
You're
I
gonna
am a #1 Gavin fan.
You're gonna see this Bush, and you're gonna like it.
He's gonna be up front with all the girls that have been following Gavin from concert to concert.
Oh my god, that was so funny. The girl when we
Oh
went
my
to go
god,
see
she
it,
was like 10.
who was like, I talk to him all the time, and
I know.
I was like, girl,
She's like, I'm gonna get to be on stage.
Gavin
I'm like,
is not
he's
talking
not-
to you. I'm telling you right now, it's not happening.
he might. Who knows? We don't know.
Anyway, but I will. Okay, so I'll throw in Bush. We've seen a lot, and it
Yeah.
is really good, and it's really great, and especially seeing Bush with you is really good. But I would say Godsmack in general because I listen to more Godsmack than I do Bush, but also I know you didn't get to see it, but watching Godsmack live.
I was too busy vomiting
You're
on the
too
grass.
busy. Yeah, you're too busy vomiting by the tent, asking somebody if you were okay.
No, I
Or
didn't
if
ask
somebody
somebody
else
a
asked you.
guard. I was trying to hide behind the locker tent so no one could find me, and a guard came around. I was already passed out trying to sleep in the grass behind the locker tent, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, Yeah. I just have a really bad migraine." And he was like, "Do you need some aspirin?" I was like, "You have aspirin?" Yes, anything you want.
Yes. But yeah, there was something about watching Godsmack, and I've said it for years, it's probably one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
To be fair,
So
To be fair.
only reason I was vomiting and in the grass
yeah,
with
she
a
wasn't drunk
migraine
that time.
during Godsmack. I wasn't drunk. I was a little high. I gave myself a concussion in the pit of Sum 41. So that is why I didn't get to see Godsmack.
And didn't know it until we got to Godsmack.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "My head really hurts."
I don't feel well. I think I'm going to vomit.
From Godsmack to people who have officially met God, we have Ozzy Osbourne and Motley Crue.
Ouch.
Motley Crue met God because of their drugs. We don't have to go through the whole thing if you don't want to, but I'll give it to you only based on influence alone, not based on my personal preference.
Okay, so he is a Motley Crue fan through and through.
Yes,
He
100%.
listens to Motley Crue all the time. He wants a tattoo that's based off of Motley Crue.
It's
Zach,
so good.
Zach didn't listen to Motley Crue until MGK played the drummer.
Not true. Not true. Not true.
Till the dirt.
Till the dirt.
Okay, I can vouch for him.
I know Motley Crue before that.
I can
before it
vouch
was
for
cool.
him that he did listen to Motley Crue before the dirt.
Yeah, it's true. Although great representation, I might add. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. But my argument to that is there would be no Motley Crue if it weren't for Ozzy.
I agree with that.
And
I was also going to ultimately.
yeah, Ozzy.
Tell you you're wrong. I was
honestly,
ultimately going to tell you you were wrong
it is
anyway.
going to be extremely hard to beat Ozzy.
Yeah. Because there's just so much influence. Like, not only, and me and you have talked about this, not only just how versatile he is in general, but just how much he influenced, just like persona, how people are comfortable with like who they are as frontmen, like musically, like he just influenced so much that it's hard.
Yeah.
Even if you think it's disconnected, it's hard to not have
Well,
something.
And he has one of my top 3 favorite songs of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my top 3 is, and this is in no particular order because it's hard to decide, is War Pigs, Paint It Black, and I don't know why
Man in
I'm
the Box.
stumping. Man in the
Man
Box.
in the Box. Yeah.
And so, you know, it'd be hard to give it to anyone other than Ozzy.
Yeah.
Plus, his voice is just fucking incredible, and you can't hear anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah. I'll say this.
And he can do it all.
Yeah.
That sounds. You know, no, I agree with you. I was gonna get because I know you're big. I know you guys are big Young Blood fans.
Yeah.
So I was gonna be like, oh, so we're just not gonna give him credit for how he sounds. Okay, but no, you're.
Oh no, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, no, he did a great job.
No, I was
And
gonna
he's-
say for
He
the-
does good with what he does.
I was
he's
gonna say
very
for the next
incredible.
one,
Yes.
because it's gonna go up. So I
Yeah,
was
we're
just
gonna make another one for sure
Yeah.
at some point. All right, so next we're gonna go back up to the top here. Breaking Benjamin,
Ugh.
9 Inch Nails.
Nine Inch
This-
Nails.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I love Breaking Benjamin. I do, and they are also very energetic. Both times I've been to their concert, he does also
Must
get
be
into
nice.
the pit, and that's where I actually got to like touch and sing him. I didn't touch him. I could have. I didn't because I was being respectful.
Good.
Now you look back on it and you're like,
and I
fuck
should
being
have fucking touched
respectful.
him. But I got to sing Diary of a Jane with him, so I mean that was fucking cool.
Also, you have one of the most badass pictures from that whole night of you in the back of. The
Oh
whole,
yeah, they took a aerial photo of the pit. When I first got into the pit, I was in the very, very back of it, and they took an aerial photo. The I don't know, just the people of the festival, and you can see it. It's me, and then the entire pit, and the band, and I had made it from the very back of the pit all the way to the front before the end of the concert.
And then we found a video on their website of her when he went through
singing
the crowd.
with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of her like in the video that somebody had shot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yes, I have a lot with Breaking Benjamin, but Nine Inch Nails got me through some shit.
Yeah.
And they're just lyrically fucking genius. Like if you actually listen to their like music, there's so many metaphors, there's so many things that it could mean, and it's just so beautifully written. I mean, and it just goes hard. Just goes hard.
Soundgarden, 3 Days Grace.
Soundgarden.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree.
No discredit to 3 Days Grace, but out of those two, Soundgarden for sure.
Slipknot.
Yeah.
You're going straight to
yeah,
it.
you gave me-
Slipknot,
yeah,
you
Linkin
gave-
Park.
No, you gave me Linkin Park last time. I'll let it go. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say Slipknot
Got it.
for sure.
Heard.
For sure.
All right.
It's got to be Ozzy.
Hey,
It's got to be.
you guys gave too compelling of an argument to just let it loose.
Yeah.
Godsmack.
But I will say
Let it loose
but
to Godsmack.
but I will put and I talked about this on a podcast too, but I will throw this out there too that like when it comes to Ozzy, like you don't know really how much I specifically didn't know like how much influence it had on me until after he died, and that's the one I've cried or been emotional by three artists in my entire life when they've died. And like the rest of them, I've just been like, oh, that kind of sucks. But like, it has really like emotionally gripped me.
Mine
And
was
that
Cornell, Prince, and Ozzy.
Yep, for sure, that was it.
Yep.
And so yeah, so that happened when Ozzy died, and I really didn't think about it. And then, like, you can ask Cheryl. Like I tried to tell her about this experience, And I couldn't not cry telling her this experience to the point where she was like, "Oh, like you're like really crying."
I still
Like-
cry every time I hear anything about Ozzy. I'm
But, like,
I'm
when-
struggling now.
But giving props to what you were just saying was Youngblood's
Yeah.
when he came, it wasn't his version of Changes, which still yes gets me, but it was when he came up, and I've explained this, but I'll do it again. But it's when he came up behind Steven Tyler singing "Mama, I'm Coming Home," because it was the way they shot it that got me. Because it was Steven Tyler singing, which that song in general, and then in the background you only see Youngblood from like his waist down, and it looked like Ozzy because he had the coat and everything, and so you just see in the background of Steven Tyler like kind of struggling through this song, and you just see that, and then you see a hand grab the mic stand and come up behind, and it's all shot under, so you can't see his face. And then you hear Youngblood's voice singing that, and then that's when it goes up to see that it was but it was just, I told, happened again, see, every time. But I told Cheryl, I was like, it just got me because it's one of those moments of like, it just felt like knowing he was gone, there was just that moment of like, oh, it keeps going. So sorry, long-winded thing to say, like to the point of like Ozzy giving that like blessing over Youngblood, like he didn't tarnish it, like it was worth giving.
All right.
Anyway, sorry.
9 Inch Nails, Soundgarden.
Okay, this one's really hard for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Soundgarden for sure, but 9 Inch Nails, there's a lot of things that like with me and you are covered in 9 Inch Nails. Like we had 9 Inch Nails in our wedding.
We did.
Like we went and saw 9 Inch Nails. That was
my
the
first crowd
first.
surf.
That was the first time you crowd surfed. Was at 9 Inch Nails.
But how much? Okay, but if Chris Cornell hadn't have died before we got together, how much more of those
Would have happened
would have been a part of
For
us
sure.
as well?
for sure.
How much more of it would have been a part of us than 9 Inch Nails was? I think that's the problem I'm having, is that yes, 9 Inch Nails got me through a really tough time, and it's been there for me for a long time, but Soundgarden's been there for me since I was born.
That's fair. I'll say Soundgarden.
I was birthed into grunge.
Although there's a lot of honorable mentions, especially when it comes to me and you for 9 Inch Nails.
For sure.
So if Ozzy doesn't get stopped here, Ozzy's not stopping.
No, yeah, I
And
agree.
No,
feel
I would,
wholeheartedly.
I would say even without going to the next one with Soundgarden and Ozzy, I would say Ozzy through the whole thing for sure. Because even to the point that just made before, like there is none of those without Ozzy. Like, you know what I mean?
Really? You'd even go as far as
I
Slipknot?
don't know if there is no Slipknot without Ozzy.
I feel like and I could be wrong. You guys know a lot more about this than I do.
I think-
I feel like Slipknot
I don't think
helped
Slipknot.
create its own path.
I
Yeah, I
agree with
kinda
that. I
feel
think
that too.
Slipknot is unique in itself. I think that a version of Slipknot exists.
we need a band member that who just hits a metal keg with a bat.
Just a metal keg with a bat. That's it. No, and then we need another one.
Yo, you have 6 band members. Yeah, we need one more.
One
For
more.
what? So
I-
they can hit a metal keg with a bat.
I think there's a version of Slipknot that would still be created because I also think that there are things that are just going to happen regardless. But I think musical influence, I think Corey Taylor specifically, I don't think that happens without, and Clown and Sid.
I just want to point something out, though.
I don't think that happens without Ozzy.
I just want to point something out. There would be no Ozzy if there weren't the Beatles.
I know, for sure.
Look, how far back are we going to go here?
That was Ozzy.
We're gonna be here for a while.
That was
Focus on
Ozzy's
that.
like favorite band.
I know,
was the
that was
Beatles,
Ozzy's
which is
thing, was
really
the
funny.
Beatles.
Which is really funny, all things considered, for what music Ozzy ended up like doing.
Yeah.
It's just so funny the
Vastly
contrast
different.
between the Beatles and Black
I don't
Sabbath.
know. They kind of sang about the same shit, though.
Yeah,
So we have compelling arguments for both. What is it ultimately going to be, though?
I think,
I'll go Slipknot, but I still will stand on the fact that I don't think most of these exist without at least some influence from Ozzy.
you can't take out the dead man.
We can respect history without making it the pillar.
Yeah,
I agree.
agree.
That's good. Good good thought. That was so good.
But does duality beat War Pigs?
I would say there's not duality specifically, but I would say
But
yes.
that's
There's a
mine.
Slipknot song. There's a Slipknot song that will definitely beat out War Pigs.
6.
Heretic Anthem for sure.
That's not. I was singing a totally.
I would.
different
Okay.
band.
No. Hold on. I'll take that as your example though. If you put that next to War Pigs, I would say same energy.
All right, fine. Yeah, I'll give it.
Yeah.
All right.
That is my
Let's
always.
fight.
That is always.
This is the ding ding ding.
This is always my internal struggle right here. This is it. This is if you wanted.
Soundgarden or Slipknot.
Yes, if you wanted.
Okay.
If you wanted my life in two bands, that's it right there. Is Soundgarden.
Day-to-day listening, I have to be in a mood for Slipknot. I do not have to be in a mood for Soundgarden.
Oh, I can't agree with you on that. But
I also
I would say
I'm also the same vein. Like,
Yeah.
but on the opposite end, I can.
Are you?
I can just listen to Slipknot. I can't just listen to Soundgarden.
But I am a newer Slipknot fan, to be fair.
yeah.
No, I'd argue
You're
that
welcome.
for myself too. Like,
You're welcome.
I didn't really start to listen to a lot of Slipknot until I met Heather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she's a big Slipknot.
Yeah, it was.
Cheryl
yeah.
says the same thing about me that I do that to everybody like osmosis. That you can't be my friend or be around me without like at least acknowledging Slipknot or wanting or being like, yeah, I listen to this.
I don't know.
When I first met you, it was harder to not be an Eminem fan and be your friend.
Yeah.
That
Like,
makes
if,
sense.
If I didn't listen, if I
That
couldn't
makes
at
a
least
lot of
listen
sense.
to Eminem a lot, like
For
you're
sure.
probably not gonna be friends with Zach.
Yeah. That's fair though.
You know what's funny?
That's a
My
fair
best friend was
comparison.
the same way.
That's a fair
I didn't even know
comparison.
who Eminem was until I met her. I mean, I knew he was. He's Slim Shady, but I
Yeah.
didn't know.
But you didn't know.
I didn't
you didn't
know. I didn't know FAC.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's the difference between like you said Nickelback, like the different versions of Nickelback.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about you.
With Eminem.
Yeah, with Eminem.
Is I like
that,
Eminem's like goofy weird songs, and you like his
that's
more
all-
serious shit.
Like that's all you like.
Oh, yeah.
Like exclusively.
Yeah, the weirder the song, the better.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like any of like even well, okay, this is a bad example, but I would say even something like Monster, you're like, meh. It's no fact.
Yeah. It's not the hot sauce song.
Yeah, it's not,
It's not the mushroom song.
but I would I don't know. I'll agree with you on Soundgarden only because like I agree with that aspect is that I can
I just
it's the
think,
voice.
okay,
I could listen
you
to
know what's so
Soundgarden
funny is this
at
is
any
so
point.
comparable in multiple different ways. Like Chris Cornell has 3 different bands. Corey Taylor has 3 different bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is
crazy.
this is so kind of comparable in like
It's almost like you guys have a thing for unloyal men.
Unloyal men
I definitely do.
who want multiple avenues in their life.
Yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
like okay,
Gotta
so
let me fly, baby. Gotta let me fly.
I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
maybe they just know their voices are too great for one thing. They know it, so they're like,
I think there's an aspect not that I'm trying to defend myself, but I think that there's an aspect to that though because like I even feel that way creatively like for myself.
I think
Like
this
so
is
I would assume
actually-
like if you have the ability like vocally to like do different like it wouldn't
Yeah.
be it wouldn't satisfy you to be like I only scream my lungs off in Slipknot or like I only do like you would
well,
want
and also I think for Corey Taylor, I think it was important for Stone Sour and CMFK or I can never get that right.
CMFT.
I think it was important for those because like when he did try to do slower stuff with Slipknot, like that is the reason why it took me so long to get into Slipknot.
Yeah.
Is because one of the first Slipknot music videos I ever saw, or one of the first Slipknot songs I ever like acknowledged, was "Dead Memories."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching all these people in these like hardcore looking masks on MTV's Headbangers Ball singing "Dead Memories," and I'm like, okay, and it kind of threw me off from the band in general until he showed me like, obviously way
Everything.
cooler shit.
Everything.
And I was like, oh,
All right, guys. Finals vote. This is it. Who's
you
taking
know,
I'll go
I'd
Soundgarden.
hate to say. Actually, I'd hate to say it, but the longer we sit on this, the more I'm kind of changing.
Oh, fuck off. I was going to give
I
you
know,
fucking
but I'm kind of
Soundgarden.
changing on it because you know what? Like, we're talking about a band in total here. We're not talking
Yeah.
about just the lead artist,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, Chris Cornell is a god, and the rest of Soundgarden is great, but they're a grunge band, so they play average shit. They play
Yeah.
the normal drum line. They play the normal guitar line. Slipknot has 7 incredible fucking artists.
Yeah.
Making up one band, and somehow they make it sound so good every time.
And also it changes. Like there's, I mean, obviously like the overall arc doesn't really change for like their music, but even if you go like from Iowa, which representation, they're from Iowa. What? And I have, oh, it's on this hand, and I have the Iowa tattoo. Anyway,
I leaned forward.
but you did. But like even if you go from Iowa, which is their first album, to I would even say even the Gray Chapter, maybe further, it's different throughout. Like it has like the overall like this is what's like the DJ and the guitars and everything, but like their way of changing it with and keeping it still palatable is like unmatched with how many people
and they
have.
put on quite a show.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll give it to them.
Yeah,
I'll give it to them.
that's nice.
If it was Chris Cornell versus Corey, I would probably give it to Chris Cornell. But
Yeah.
overall band, I would say sure.
Yay.
We did it.
We did it. It only took 40 hours, but we did it. Just kidding. So, yeah. That's our first, guys. That's our first completed episode. Guys. Hey. Hey, guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys. Hey, we all did it. We all did it. We all did a podcast together and we finished it. And we didn't yell or scream or argue with each other. We did it. And we all had
Do
fun.
we ever argue and scream?
We all had fun.
I'm sorry, I had fun.
We all had fun.
Do I look like I'm having fun?
I'm having fun. So yeah, so thank you to Brooke. Eventually, I want to get his face in here because I think it'd be fun. At least to say hi. At least to be like, hey, look. But until then, if you want to see his beautiful face and his beautiful eyes and the way he looks at you when he's trying to serenade you, don't go watch the Mad World podcast because he doesn't do it on there. But you can see his face on. You can see his face on there nonetheless. And again, thank you to Mad World for giving us the space in the house, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as always, Brooke, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
And as always, I love you. Thank you for talking.
You're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
just here.
I'm just doing it. Take us out of here.
Beans and cornbread.
Boop, boop.
Beans and cornbread.
Boop, boop.